Following Red Bull's 7-figure fine for breaching the cost cap, Front Lockout decided to give you a rundown of the 7 biggest fines ever handed out in Formula One. Number 7. Paternal damnation. A certain team, US F1, pledged to the FIA that they will enter the 2010 F1 season. However, the team was all words and no action, and following their refusal to enter the sport, the motorsport governing body handed them a €309,000 fine. They were also banished from the sport forever. Number 6. The pink Mercedes. In the not-so-distant past, there used to be a certain team called Racing Point. When Force India went into administration in 2018, Lawrence Stroll put together a consortium that bought the team for his son. Back then, Racing Point was using a Mercedes engine, but they obviously didn't just stop at the engine, they were copying other things. Their car shared a striking resemblance to the Mercedes, and even Christian Horner was forced to rename the car as the pink Mercedes. Some other people said that Racing Point had the cheapest R&D budget on the grid, and all they needed to spend was a camera to take photos of the Mercedes. Renault Motorsport, now Alpine, reported Force India for copying Mercedes brake ducts. Since teams were only allowed to design this component in-house, the FIA handed them a €400,000 fine. Number 5. A tale of accounting hanky-panky. While Aston Martin was not deemed to have exceeded the budget cap, they were caught tweaking their Excel entries to balance the books. The FIA, having caught them for 12 cases of incorrectly excluded and or adjusted costs in their submission, fined them $450,000. This is just a top 7 list, but somehow, a team owned by billionaire Lawrence Stroll has managed to make the list twice. I'll leave that to you. Before we move into the 7-figure fines, I would like to appeal to you to support our channel with a subscription. We are a small channel, but intend to do big things and need your help to get things off. Number 4. Guilty conscience. Rubens Barrichello was leading the 2002 Austrian Grand Prix in Spielberg, but his team ordered him to allow Michael Schumacher pass. The German went on to win the race but felt guilty. During the podium ceremony, Schumacher, feeling bad for the situation, swapped places with Barrichello and handed him the trophy. Fumed by this event, the FIA concluded that Ferrari were trying to bring the sport to disrepute and handed them a hefty $1 million fine. Number 3. Politicking gone wrong. During the podium ceremony for the 2006 Turkish Grand Prix, a Turkish Cypriot leader presented a trophy to the winner of the event but was introduced as the president of the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. The Greek Cypriot community was especially angered, and they protested. The governing body felt their sport shouldn't be used as a platform to score political points and handed out a $5 million fine to the organizers. This figure will later be halved, but it still retains its number 3 spot. Number 2. We had to feed our staffs. The rules were clear enough, but Red Bull broke it anyways. The cost cap for the 2021 season was set at $145 million. This measure was put in place to even the playing field and allow smaller teams to be able to compete on the same financial footing with the big boys. Red Bull gave several reasons for breaching the rulebook, but the one which stood out for me was that they said they went over the budget because they gave their over 1,000 staffs free lunch. Red Bull was handed a $7 million fine for breaching the 2021 cost cap agreement. They don't technically need to pay this money, but what it means is that they now have $7 million less to spend in 2023. However, what will hurt Red Bull more is that their allotted wind tunnel and CFD development time for the 2023 season has been cut by 10%. This test is critical to gaining tenths of seconds over a competitor. The FIA runs a sliding scale wind tunnel system where teams that finish at the bottom get more wind tunnel runs than teams at the top. Red Bull was able to win its first Constructors' Championship since 2013, hence will get the least amount of aero. For the 2022 to 2025 seasons, the top team will get 28 runs per week while the 10th place team will get 46 runs per week. With a 10% reduction, and depending on how you round off the maths, Red Bull will now get 25 or 26 runs per week. Number 1. Spygate. This 2007 event happened when McLaren hired a Ferrari engineer. But the engineer decided to impress his new employers and copied some very important technical data on his way out of the Maranello factory. McLaren on their part agreed to use it anyways, and even went ahead to claim 8 race victories that year with Ferrari's data. When the FIA caught wind of what happened, they decided to hand out a $100 million fine. And with this, McLaren becomes the recipient of the biggest fine in all of sports history. We have other rankings videos for you, like the tallest drivers in F1. There is also a ranking of F1 crashes with the highest G-force. You may check those out as well. Thank you.